Hi everyone, and thank you so much for making the time. And it's almost over. You're at the very last speaker, and hopefully I will give you enough data to know how to work together. So I'm a little bit emotional today. I'm going to end this talk about why. But I truly believe in the Nordic dream. Oh, how I believe in the Nordic dream, where the streets are paved with gender equality, and we have clean air and opportunity to go around. We have free healthcare, education. What more is there to wish for? Oh, how I believe in the Nordic dream, but unfortunately the Nordic dream didn't believe in me. I ended up in Sweden, like many of you, by chance. Me at the age of 4, and most here maybe at birth. I ended up working not in the startup ecosystem you might think. I'm actually a cashier at ICA, a convenience store, because I moved out of the house when I was 17 and I needed a way to understand how to pay those wonderful bills that I wasn't expecting so early in life. No one talked with me about Stockholm School of Economics. No one even mentioned that something like this existed, and it wasn't until I was 26 I heard about you. And the funny thing is, there is a full circle moment here, and we're going to end up on that. But there has never been a bigger opportunity in the world to talk about the Nordic dream rather than, I won't mention which country, but there is a country that is marketing itself very well. But I realized along the way, if I look at how I grew up here, that we have great quality of life, but we don't have equality. I actually am a mother of 3, first-generation immigrant. I'm called a venture capitalist, although I don't quite identify myself like that. I ended up here because it was the only tool I could see that could actually bridge and accelerate the change that I wanted to see in this world. Not as a career move, but what I saw was missing in this world. After becoming an adult, unfortunately, I never ended up in university or college. Because the question was, who do you have around you who can inspire you? Because if you don't know what you can be, how do you know where to go? If there's no blueprint, how will you know where to find it? I was fortunate enough in life to have a friend who started a company in this very school. I got an opportunity as a first hire, not because I was the best. I think I kind of nagged him into getting me a chance. And that chance led me into the startup world, not because that was an ambition, because as a single mom, I needed something that was flexible enough to give me a chance in life, give me and my daughter a chance, a quality of life. And in that startup world, the world that bridged everything that happens here, globally, I could see there were so many incredible innovations taking place. Now, I don't mean bigger sizes, smaller sizes. I don't mean different colors. I mean real things that actually shape and changes the way we do things. This picture, and I'm going to come back to this, is identity that I kept going back to later in life while I was raising money for my startup. But in that world of startup, I could barely get to the airport at Arlanda. With this job, I was flying all over the world. I ended up in Las Vegas at a time when what happens in Las Vegas ends up in YouTube. Here you had social media and content creation growing. And as you can see, it was very incredible to be that very person that was trusted by, well, mostly middle managers, some business leaders, but most decision makers. I wasn't a decision maker. Why was I there? I was a woman of color, I didn't have the proper education, I didn't have the proper background, but why was I there? And the funny thing is, no one asked me what I was doing there. because I was so underestimated. They asked me for service, and they asked me for support, and they asked me for insights, but it was mostly because I was just there. These was men who was making decisions on things, giving me an insight that maybe it's not about the best person for the job, honestly. It was the right person at the right time. And right person could often mean who in your network is giving you an opportunity. Most of the decision makers and business leaders that I've met, honestly, wasn't the best suited people. But they had a path in which they knew the road to. And they had people who not only opened the door, but they would grab them and bring them in and bring them along. And I realized on these trips, because the funny thing is that there is this incredible consumer fair taking place each year at Las Vegas. That's where innovation happens. Each year in January, the world meets in Las Vegas for CES. That's the name of the fair. You have all these big companies, new companies, small companies, trying to get a chance to break their innovation in the market. And the market is quite global, it's international, everyone is there. We were there when Spotify introduced the first kind of Apple Play version in Volvo. I remember that so vivid. And at the same time, I was wondering, who is behind all these innovations? And suddenly, there was a pattern. I saw who was behind those innovations that were supposed to change things. And as I was looking, I saw that, well, actually, it wasn't that much innovation. If we scratched the surface, we could see bigger sizes, smaller sizes, different colors. Each year, we were seeing same kind of innovation. So I started to ask myself, okay, so if innovation is meant to actually change something and make us better, as consumers, as society, as business owners, as employees, then if we look at who's behind those, where do they come from? Why are they doing what they're doing? And I realized their lack of representation behind actually impacted what the output was. Vegas has this corner, or Vegas has a lot of corners, but CES had this corner that was adopted for women products. So I thought that I would see female founders behind these products and solutions. So I made my way there. And let me tell you, the whole arena is like 3 friends arenas, basically. So it's way back, and it's the size of this room. And the products were pink and gold and glittery, and I was like, what is this? And then I looked at, okay, who are the founders? Who are the investors? Well, they were all the same. How many women do you think existed? 0. How many women did you think were standing on the booths and demonstrating the products and the services? All of them, right? So I, in 2016, got introduced to impact tech, and I completely fell in love. For me, technology is a tool, it's not an end game. For me, technology is actually what makes us faster, stronger, closer. But what I could see, that we've been using technology as an end game. We were highlighting all these amazing founders and innovators, but all they really did was grow at all costs. And I could see what the cost was. Private policy, democracy, inequality. And I did not like it. And as a mother, I was concerned. So when I was introduced to impact tech, you had, the sustainability goals, you had focus on real values and using technology as an enabler, as a tool. And I knew I found home. That's where I wanted to be. So I helped a few startups, I worked as a consultant, I did all the things you can imagine on paper was good enough. And then 2016, that same year, you had 2 of the most powerful tech companies release their first AI chatbot. Before ChatGPT, 2016, look up Tay. Does anyone remember this? You had those big 2 tech companies super proud, super excited. We have the first AI. We have succeeded in mimicking human behavior. And they launched it. Huge launch party. And in less than 24 hours, do you know what happened? That AI bot became the most racist, sexist, discriminating AI, human-like persona on social media, on the internet, ever. So these big tech companies pulled it away immediately and said, oh, there was a problem with their data. That same data is ChatGPT's base 10 years later. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to go back. So 2018, I decided to do something about this. I realized we need to do something that is proving that there's both profit and there's a societal impact to this. And those two is actually aligned. Because it's about making great businesses. It's not growing at all costs. Now we need to mend at all costs. But you know what? There are so many revenues from this at the same time. So with that being said, I started a company. I called it Unitech, Uniting Tech. Yes, I had dreams about UN as well, but I knew that I didn't have the background for it. And I went out and I was building Spotify of technical education. And one of my first customers was Ericsson. I was super proud. And then I'm on my way to raise money. And I think I, at that point, realized that I do have a PhD. I have a PhD in how to get them, how to use them, how to turn them around, how to hear them. I had over 100 meetings with investors in the Nordic. No one wanted to invest. And at the same time, I had to give it to investors. It was a really funny, interesting test subject. I was non-technical, as I don't have a technical background. I can't code to save my life, although I understand the language. I was a sole female founder, woman of color, pregnant with my third child. But did that stop me? No. I did it anyway. So I went to the US and 6 out of 6 investors said yes. And to me, that opened a whole new world. I was like, what is the difference here? I'm the exact same person and I say the same things and I do all the same things. And I realized, we don't know the history of innovation, because if we knew the true history of innovation, we would know what an incredible opportunity there was in me. So I'm going to test you real quick. Raise your hand if you know who I'm talking about. Bill, Niklas, Sebastian, Daniel. No one? Thank you. Raise your hand if you know who I'm talking about. Catherine, Mary, Dorothy, Ada, Grace. Yeah. Did you know that over 66% of college students can't name a single female founder in the space? Although none of the men I mentioned could have built any of the companies that they've built based on their ideas and their products. This goes back all the way to the late 18th century, all the way today. Raise your hand if you know who these women are. This is today. So we have Melanie Perkins, Australian. She, as a teenager, took on Adobe. Anyone uses Canva? Yes. Worth $40 billion today. We have Lucy Gao. She created Scale AI, who is literally the data privacy in which AI acts on today, worth $45 billion today. We have Iman Abu Zaid. She's a health tech founder. Staffing nurses, no investor wanted to invest, worth $1 billion today. And we have Whitney Wolf. Women making first choice on dating apps? No, never. Are we giving women the opportunity? She founded Bumble. The first woman who built a company that IPO'd, valued at, I want to say 23 billion, please don't check me on that, but something like that. So I realized this is happening, it happened in the past, it's happening today. So we need to address this, not from a bottom-up approach, because patience is privilege, and I don't have that privilege. as a mother, I really don't have time. So I need to address this from a top-down approach. So I Googled VC. How does venture capitalists do it? Honestly, I met a lot of them, and I get away with a lot of things these days because they know what they asked me, they know what they told me, and I can bet you that they still remember some of my comments too, though. But here's the interesting part. Every step of the way, just do it never worked, but we did it anyway. And while I was doing it, I realized some of us here are building the blueprint we're waiting for. Some of us who can't find blueprints are writing them right now as we speak. So I decided to ditch my company. And in 2020, I joined and co-founded Unconventional Ventures, considered to be Europe's first impact fund with a diversity lens. We focus on investing in underrepresented founders, or underestimated founders, or underinvested founders, meaning women, people of color, LGBTQ, immigrants. Yes, we do invest in men as well, but we do like to see a diverse teams because it's about making smart business decisions. If anything, it's about understanding there's a sourcing strategy that we haven't utilized in a world that we need to shift power to more perspectives, so we can build with more perspectives in mind. So when we talk about we're all in it together, that we really are all in it together. That when we talk about building the future, we do it with everyone in mind as well. It's not about giving a chance, it's about having opportunities, that we all might have the same opportunities, no matter what our names are, the zip codes, our gender, our ethnicity, and so on and so forth. The surface always looks good. The surface is always shiny. But behind the surface, where the cracks are, that's where innovation happens. Because innovation isn't based off of possibilities. It's based off of pressure to do things in ways we didn't know we could do because we never had to live them. And it's interesting as I do a lot of things talking about representation, and I just want to remind the room that if you don't think representation matters, then you're probably very well represented. Thank you.